This has proven to be exceptionally challenging for both Claude and Gemini to accomplish. Uh, Not specifically been about the directory so much as it's been about memory management, but I thought maybe I could simplify the task by making it about file size for the directory instead of fitting into memory slots. Once it has the utility to get the file size, it may be easier than fitting into the memory slot and calculating that. You can always dash things. See, look at that. Gemini's all, like I'm going to use the build tools, I'm going to stash things, and I'm going to check what I did and keep track of it. Claude's like, I'm going to use all the tools directly, and I'm going to try to find something by finding from the root directory. It's Claude's something something. Check out. Yeah, yeah. You can always check things out. sick. I know I spelled that wrong. I've been fighting Claude over that too. Claude is wholly dedicated to running things manually. And there are times when it's okay, but Claude has a tendency to write scripts and wrap things up in shell commands and instead of using the tools. At least that is my experience with Claude. Unfortunately, the code-based memory plugin or MCP I'm using does not support assembly especially well. So the assembly files aren't getting indexed, but at least the knowledge base is. And Gemini is pretty good about using it. Claude, on the other hand, is like, I'm going to go look for things. Turns out, and this was a bit of a surprise to me, that the challenge with finding the file size of something, determining the file size rather, on the Commodore 64 is that it's not part of the directory. It's not part of the directory listing. So the directory doesn't know. You have to make some funky reads to figure it out. Oh, that quote might be my fault. All right, let's go see how Gemini did with this. Uh, yeah, hey, look at that. Uh, nice. Okay. Hey, I am good. Sorry I missed it. Uh, cool. Thank you. Uh, what do you think? I think they're probably pretty boring to most people, but All right, that's good. Now there's criticism, and that's okay. I know I'm not particularly good at being engaging. I'm still working on that. It's awkward to me to just talk to open air. I don't. I actually don't think a disk can hold that many. Like, uh, like actually, that is no good at all. Okay, I get that, I think. Um, how's volume right now? I I struggle a bit with knowing how it is for other people. I have it play back to myself so I can hear myself talking, but I don't know how the audio really is. And I don't have a particularly private space, so I have to be a little mindful of having my gain and my pickup too high. Like I tried to use my Blue Yeti microphone earlier, and its pickup is fantastic, which unfortunately means it like picks up the TV in the other room and like little conversations that my wife or my daughters are having, and I don't want to do that either. Yeah, the Blue Yeti is super sensitive. Right now I'm using my headset. Um, the last couple of VoDs I've been using it is turned down, and I do have let me see how's this? I was in the process of setting up some of the oh, okay. Good, good. I was trying to set up some noise suppression and some like gates to prevent like my breathing being picked up. Um, yeah. So it's a challenge for me. It's like growing pains. Um, I get what you're talking about with the I'm in the middle of a project, so I'm not explaining things and I'm like in my head. Um, I don't at all mind explaining. Um, but I definitely understand what you're talking about, what you mean there, that coming in and not knowing where I am in my own headspace because I'm not explaining, uh, that makes it a little harder to follow, right? Or is it, I'm not sure. I'm having a difficult time expressing what I'm thinking in the same way I think that you are. But you know what am I getting kind of close? Yeah, I mean, and hopefully, is it the content or the lack of um, explanation of what I'm doing and why? Because like the last few, I think have been like testing as opposed to building as much. And I've got, like a test document that I just, blew through that last time when I was testing debug. Yeah, it really is. It's like you're talking to air and it's like it's contrary to what we learn. what we learn as people, that just kind of talking to ourselves is craziness, right? Um, Sorry, I'm doing two things now. Uh, I'm getting a screenshot so I can give give Gemini some context, because this is not at all right. And I wish, like, I'm I'm kind of conflicted, right? I prefer working in a Linux environment, but there are a lot of things that are a little bit more challenging. Like, I I don't know why my Stream Deck isn't working for, like, flipping the visibility of things. It worked earlier. It worked earlier in the stream, and now it's like not for some reason. No, that's fine. I understand. I if I had a place, if I had a room where I could just, like, isolate myself, I totally would. I like, the only way I could really do that is to, like, oh yeah, my brother found one at we have a place called Savers that's it's a secondhand store. They donate part of their profits, and they're upfront that they are not a nonprofit. They are a for-profit, but they donate part of their profits to the Epilepsy Foundation, and that's, personal to me. So, uh, but he found one for cheap, and it's got, like, uh, this one at least has like 15 little buttons that are all displays, and you can program them. Uh, on Windows, they work fine, no problems. Um, not as much on Arch Linux or Linux or Linux, depending on how you want to approach it. Okay, let's let's see how that turned out. I've reverted changes. Good, because that was gross. Um, oh, I didn't change it. I didn't update it. Okay, that's my fault. Yep, yep. As often as I have typos and consistently the same ones, you'd think I, didn't know how to type. I I haven't been using a keyboard for 40, 45 years. Oh, sir. It does. And under Linux, you have to use some open solution. And it just, yeah. Oh, huh. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, it's cool. Um, I honestly, I can't say I would recommend anyone switch to it um, without some kind of like really compelling reason. For me, um, I used to use a Kinesis Advantage keyboard, which is this ergonomically shaped keyboard. And it's a great keyboard. And I used it primarily to kind of fight arthritis and carpal tunnel. And I was starting to feel it again. And I'd heard about the ergonomics or claims of ergonomics that Dvorak had. And anecdotally, um, I think it made my carpal tunnel a little bit better. The caveat to that is nothing is designed for Dvorak. So, like, if you're playing a game or you're using hotkeys, everything's in the wrong place. Games, you have to remap. I'm fortunate that I spend the extra to have keyboards that have firmware programmability. So I tap a button and I'm back in QWERTY if I don't want to deal with, or if a game doesn't have the ability to remap. But if it was, and my experience is that software remapping is a big pain in the ass. It may be built into the OS, but it still turns out to be a big pain. Like it'll get switched over and um, not be what you want it to be in one window, or yeah, I just don't care for it. At the same time, I'm switching back and forth now between uh, how to do um, between my PC and the Commodore 64, and my hands are all derpy both directions now because I'm typing on the QWERTY on the Commodore and Dvorak on my PC, and oddly, I get this like connection to the Commodore. So even when I'm just in the emulator, I miss things, and it's a bit weird. All right, how'd it do? We'll see. Yeah, and there are people who report being able to do it uh, without any difficulty at all. Uh, and I am not one of those people. Uh, I can do it on my typewriters a little bit better. Um, I collect typewriters um, because there's such a physical, tactile difference that the muscle memory is kind of disconnected. At the same time, I have put a lot of effort into collecting Dvorak typewriters. I have let me think, 5 and one that is a one-handed Dvorak layout that I don't use. Like my brother picked it up and it's super cool, but it is one-handed for one, and it's this uh, uh, it's this type of electric that takes a special ribbon, and I just don't care for it as a whole. I keep it because it's really cool. Yeah, the layout is almost it's almost circular. It's just a little bit different from a physical perspective than your regular keyboard, but it's got this sort of circular configuration. And that's not a great description, but so that you can get to things more easily and that they're more ergonomic. They do left-handed and right-handed one-handed keyboards, um, and they're laid out kind of differently depending upon the ergonomics of it. There was actually a guy who he was looking for a one-handed typewriter, and I was like, I have one. I will give it to you because I don't really care for it. You just like pay pay the like cost that I paid for it, and you can have it. Like because he was what he was finding is that they're really expensive. Um, and I was like, you can have it for cost. I think I paid like $20 for it. Pay the shipping and the cost that I paid, and you can have it. And he was an amputee with the other hand. And I was like, "Aw, damn it." Okay, that looks pretty good. Hang on a second. I got to talk to my daughter for a sec. Okay, I am back. Oh, howdy. Welcome. Got got back to me just as I returned. That's cool. All right. How are you today? What brought you here? I am good. I just finished making lunch for my daughter. Ah, okay. Uh, are you building something? I'm I'm glad you found me. I'm glad I got back. So I didn't miss you. Better. Okay. Um, it is possible, and I don't have I've got editors open more than I have screen real estate for looking at things. Let me see. Interesting. Uh, I am new enough at this that I am not sure where that is. So I can't even check. Um, what I am working on, uh, there you go. Uh, I am working on a operating system using AI to build it for the Commodore 64, specifically targeting the Commodore 64 Ultimate because eventually I'm going to use the RAM expansion unit to do paging uh, of applications, and there's just not going to be enough memory eventually on a standard Commodore 64. Right now, that memory unit and expanded memory isn't getting used, so I don't have to worry about it, even though I activate it in the emulator. Okay, that's a big project. not really equal. Um, yeah, um, um, to a certain extent. Let me pull it up, and I can show you. I'm sorry, I've got things going around, going on in the real world too. Uh, where is it? Okay, let's see. Sure, it's complete. I mean, I say I've made progress, right? And I have. Uh, Hang on just a second. Sorry, I had an alarm going off. But progress is what progress is. Uh, and I don't want a 9, an 8, but not that one. I have 2 disk images that I'm working with. One has a bunch of extra uh, stuff on it. Are you much familiar with the Commodore 64? Were you like uh, a retro enthusiast or a retro person to begin with? Fair. Uh, Give me, if you can, just a couple of minutes. My daughter hasn't a class that's starting. Um, what have I got that sort of? It probably won't run for very long, but uh, hey. Oh, well, thank you so much. That's fantastic of you. This is one of the ones that one of my test programs. It's a Conway's Game of Life running in my operating system. So I actually am. Uh, I know, right? Little packages. Uh, I feel old. Um, I'll be back in just a few minutes. She's got this virtual appointment that I've got to get her set up for. Okay, I am back. Uh, do I still have anyone? Oh, looks like it. Great. You are chatting together. Awesome. Let me catch up. That's completely reasonable. I have alt tabbed between agents. What's your what are your preferred agents? Okay. Sonnet 5. How is that? I was using Claude last night. I've used Claude quite a bit with this. I'm using Gemini currently. Um, and last night I spent hours and hours and hours working on something that just never came together. Um, so I'm taking a different approach to it, and I've had Gemini do something that is a component part, um, but making it a little more easily measurable by adding that directory size, the file size, um, uh, which I didn't list anything. You didn't see it. Um, I like actually don't want it, right? I don't really care about the file size on the right hand side. Um, and the reason that it's hard to get and the reason that I don't care are kind of related. Um, the Commodore 64 stores things in blocks, which I mean realistically, uh, everything does. You've got your sectors and your blocks on sectors, and we're just really used to thinking about things in bytes and kilobytes and gigabytes, terabytes. um, but so that left hand number is the number of blocks that are taken up. But there's no entry in the Commodore 64's directory structure for the actual um, file size in bytes. So you have to do this like drive manipulation and then multiplication. And the 6502 does not have a multiplication um, operation. So it had to create this like 24-bit method of multiplying and multiplying quickly, right? Which you can do with shifts, of course. Um, but then it has to kind of stick all of that together because it's an 8-bit machine. Uh, what I want, because what I'm working on is this part, um, sign of the cross that it works, is the multitasking. such as it is. Um, so I can load programs into memory and then run them directly from memory. So if I load color in now now I just have everything in hex. It's a little bit easier because memory is mapped in hex and I don't have to think about the decimal numbers. So I'm going to load in color at 2B00. And I had last night, what I had happen was it was really pretty catastrophic, actually. I had allowed myself to get lulled into um, the false sense that uh, uh, the AIs would just get things right, and I let far and away too much get done. I had to roll back probably 4 or 5 hours worth of work. The upside is it let me really break down that work, so it has not been as bad to recover from, and I've been able to structure it differently. Um, so what I've got here is I can load this process list in. The big thing is debug, which load up at debug is okay. I'm gonna guess that you're not old enough to remember debug on DOS machines. Maybe you've looked at it from a retro perspective, but it is pretty much that. It is a monitor and low level uh, interface program. It happens to be about as big as the OS itself. Um, so I can take a look at memory directly. Up in the 6,000 range is safe for me to mess around. So I can show off 6,000, right? And then I can fill 6,000, and I can do like a limit on it so that I limit how many bytes. Let's do 40 hex, and as it happens, I can do patterns. Uh, um, and see up at let's take a look at color, which I put up there at 2B, right? Oh, no. So up here at 2B00. And uh, it is really hard to do 3D. And there are people who are much, much smarter and way more experienced than me who do. It's just a matter of limitations of the hardware. I mean, you're talking about a device that it has like eight, I think eight, I think eight sprites available to it, and is an 8-bit processor without multiplication as an operation, um, and runs at 1 megahertz with only 64 kilobytes of memory, a healthy portion of which is not available for use in user space. So if we look at this is the machine language dump, but I have a assembler and disassembler built in. So you can take a look at the actual code and you'll see down there at 2B12 is the RTS, and that's the return from subroutine, or return to subroutine. And the subroutine in this case is the operating system. And color's small enough that it's not, or hello, right? This one's hello, right? No, no, it's color. Which I can also jump with G. It comes from MS-DOS. And this is kind of a spiritual port of MS-DOS, roughly around 4.0, because Microsoft open sourced that. Um, it's there's enough difference between the x86 architecture and the Commodore 64 and what was available from a hardware perspective that it won't be a port uh, proper. It's very much spiritual. But G, I can use G to go execute an arbitrary area in memory, so I can jump up to it and have it cycle the color. Questions? And that's the biggest. This is the biggest thing. This has eaten up a lot of time to get working, and now I'm working on uh, managing memory. Um, One of the things that I lost last night was automatic fitting. Um, so it would automatically place, I didn't have to specify where to load something, it would just load it into the next slot. Unfortunately, what I ran into was that it wasn't memory safe. It wasn't accounting for overwriting. In particular, if it inserted into somewhere that, say, um, I do. Um, there's no reason for me to keep it around. Um, and it's just a bunch of memory that I can make better use of. And then I bank it back in, uh, assuming the OS exits properly and doesn't crash horrifically. Basic is banked back in. So if I quit out and then exit, I'll have my basic again. And because I haven't done anything, and this this kind of thing is kept in user space, they're still loaded up. Now, there's benefit from me doing the run debug here, uh, because I'm loading it straight. I'm just jumping into it because it's already registered in memory. I could run it just debug and it would pull it off of the disk, but that would be substantially slower, obviously. At first, I was not banking out basic. Um, so I still had basic kind of, but it was getting corrupted. Um, and yeah, I just decided to hell with it, and I just banked it out because uh, I thought about it, and it's just like there's no reason for me to keep it around. What I need are the ROM routines, and they're in a different space. Oh, ah. So they all kind of do different things. Label is, God, if you haven't used DOS, it doesn't mean anything to you. It changes the disk label, and on a Commodore, everything's done with device numbers. So 8 is the equivalent of drive A. And actually, I should do lowercase. Um, so yeah, it's better when I'm here and can like answer the questions, right? Um, what you'll also see here is the versioning system. I keep track of build numbers, um, like discrete builds, um, because I absolutely need to know that it's changed. Um, so everything has its own build number, and the source tree has gotten all polluted. I need to rearrange things because they're all the build tracking files are sitting up there in the root of the directory instead of being closer to in the folder for their source. And it's messy, and I'm just ignoring it. Change. Nothing. Oh, I've committed it. It's just yeah, for sure. Um, it it's good for everyone, right? It makes it a little makes it easier. I'm not, just talking to myself. Uh, so let's see. Sorry. Okay, I'll let that work on that. Apologies. I had to be able to actually think about that. This is, in fact, what caused so many problems last night. Um, I had it inserting into the first available slot, but it wasn't protecting the memory, and it was overwriting. Oh, and that right there was the problem. There was no way to tell how big a program was, and it would just overwrite. Um, so, like if I were, my example was I loaded up hello, and then I loaded up color, and then I loaded up debug, and I freed up color in between them, which was only uh, one block of memory. Memory on the Commodore 64 is it's kind of segmented, so you can't program easily, at least in N64, to in an automated way uh, to a random location. There are 256 byte boundaries. So hello and color are both really pretty small programs, but they take up a 256 byte uh, chunk. It's how memory fragmentation happens. Um, and what would happen is you'd free up color in between hello and debug, and then try to load Conway. Well, from a logical perspective, Conway should load after debug because Conway is like 4 blocks.
it can't fit into that one block. But what would happen is it would just overwrite uh, debug, and unfortunately, it's not super memory safe in the same way for writing the operating system. See, look at that. So it sounds sourced like you've got some some pretty good experience. You're talking about using your Raspberry Pi as a harness and Sonnet and Opus together. Uh, what all have you been working on? I think you mentioned some of it, but it has scrolled away. So, here we go. API gateway. API gateway to what? I think I lost him to the ether. Them. Don't want to assume. Uh, Looks like maybe I am disconnected and reconnected. That doesn't. I'm missing stuff. Oh, yeah, I am. Conway is the game of life by a mathematician. Um, there was a really good, uh, yeah, right. There was a really good video I watched just just today. Let me see if I can. Oh, there's like 4 people, 5 people streaming, so killing each other. And of course, I'm going both directions. Okay, here we go. This is a really good demonstration of Conway's game of life. There are lots of variations that this fellow goes into. Uh, really a good watch. The basics of it are that there are rules for whether a cell um, lives or dies, uh, propagates uh, every generation, and eventually um, any any pattern will stabilize into some sort of pattern, whether or not it's a repeating pattern or a full death or what have you. He goes into it really well. Get some fresh context. I don't mind. Oh, it's not terrible. You know, use up all my Gemini before the week is out. I always do. Uh, I'll see if I can. Well, try Claude. Claude pisses me off. Claude goes way off the rails all the time. Um, I'll have to see if I can poach my wife's GPT subscription. So, did you say last time you'll be on Wednesday? Is that right? Oh, nice, nice. Um, are you a hardcore flight simulator person? Do you have a joystick and all that good stuff? I asked a question, didn't get an answer. More than I'd like for it to be. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, you can always uh, upgrade to a nicer flight stick later, right? I have the sense Gemini went off the rails and tried to implement everything. This is kind of what Claude did last night. Marked the subtasks as complete. Oh dear. Well, here's hoping. Light stick, rudders, throttles. Okay. That's a bit like the different levels of steering wheel for some of the driving games. My wife decided to get me a steering wheel for, you know, when Forza 5 was coming out. Um, I was having a lot of fun with it. She got me a wheel, and I can't use it. It's just wacky. It's a kind of low mid level, I guess. It's a yeah. It's a nicer Logitech, but it's not one of the like crazy ones. I've got a friend who got one, and they think it's kind of a low end one, and it's like $700. Yes, you can just run things like always build it. Jesus. Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's just like flight stuff though. You see these driving rigs that are thousands of dollars. Uh, like like a $7,000 driving rig is as realistic to see as a $7,000 flight sim. Now, is it reasonable? I suppose that depends on your priorities. Hey, babe. Give me a sec. Sorry, my daughter was she was doing a trial lesson, um, American Sign Language. She was telling me how much she enjoyed it. So, obviously, we'll be doing more of those. She just wants to learn. She thinks it's Gemini claims to have fixed that. Let's find out. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited for her. Look at me typing instead of talking because I'm an idiot. Oh, maybe it doesn't have the. Yeah, right. Might have. It's possible it didn't get updated on test image. I'm not sure. So I have an automated test thing that like halfway works. It works kind of with Claude. Claude like understands the MCP. Um, Gemini unfortunately requires a little bit more hand holding, and I haven't spent the time to like create all the commands for Gemini to be able to just kind of go, oh, okay, and then run automated tests. It's a little frustrating that somehow Gemini doesn't know how. It was teaching itself. It was like running the command to launch the emulator and send commands to it from the uh, command line, I think, which was really cool, but not not quite what I want. It was, it was interesting to see it, kind of sort that out on its own. No, that's the same version. No, that should be it. Uh, See, this is almost exactly what happened last night. Claude went off the rails, implemented like four things all at once, fucked them all up. Yeah, I just wish it worked a little better. uh, Claude, uh, yes, yes. Much like Gemini here, I told Claude to, implement one thing, and just like Gemini was like, oh, while I'm here, I'll do, these other things that are kind of related, as opposed to just doing the one thing and broke other things. Uh, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Um, and that's why I keep opening up a new context so I can, make sure that yeah, it really is. Because like it was only supposed to create the free all here. That was what I wanted, and it was like, oh well, while I'm here, I'm gonna create these stubs, and I'm gonna change this, and oops, I broke something, and now it's kind of hard to find what. I think it's on purpose. If I were a conspiracy person, I'd say it's on purpose so that it can use up more tokens.
No, there weren't.
There were not changes.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
on my Commodore 64 OS.
Pick something else, man. Don't fuck me. Ah! Revisiting the memory overlap. You weren't supposed to go there to begin with.
I have to switch to Claude. Claude's gonna be like, oh hey, I did that already. Let me do it again the same way and fuck everything up even worse.
Yeah, no worries. What time is it there? Ah, well, uh, thank you for hanging out with me, uh, and maybe staying up a little too late. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. And have a good rest. Cheers, mate. I think I will. I'll raid Old School Coder. I should take a break and step back from this. Let some of the tokens refresh. So stick around for just a sec if you don't mind.